Tax rules on landlords. It's perhaps a reflection of how good a business being a buy-to-let landlord is that the government's decided that it wants to introduce lots of new taxes. So first of all, it's probably worth just reflecting on all the new taxes that there have been. The increases in tax include the 3% stamp duty surcharge, the disallowing of interest for higher rate taxpayers or partially disallowing it, a higher rate of capital gains tax than for other investments, and a loss of indexation for capital gains tax within limited companies. So that's quite a few changes. And some of the changes are actually a little bit worse than they might seem. So the 3% surcharge on buying a buy-to-let isn't just on your buy-to-let property. So if you've got, a quarter share in a house that your granny left you, then it still affects you when you buy your main house. So if you're buying your main house for £300,000 and you've got a 50,000 investment in another property which you've got by chance, then you get the 3% surcharge on the whole of the value of your new house. So 3% on 300,000 in that example, or a £9,000 extra tax bill. And equally, the disallowing of higher rate tax has a peculiar effect because first of all it's disallowed or in full, and then you get a partial allowance of basic rate tax, and that can push your income into higher rate tax where you pay 40% tax when you're a basic rate taxpayer, or you could end up earning over £100,000 and suffer 60% tax and then only get 20% tax relief on your buy-to-let interest. So it has peculiar things. It can also affect your benefits and your ability to get child benefit when you've got children. Now, with all these increases in tax, one of the things that people have started to do is to put buy-to-let in companies. Now, putting a buy-to-let in a company can be good, particularly if you start it off in a company. So what are the benefits? Well, there are a number of them. You get full tax relief on your interest. You only pay higher rate tax when you take the money out of the company, so you can choose whether you pay higher rate tax. The problems, however, arise because if you've got it in a company and you sell the property, you can get a bit of double taxation because you're going to pay capital gains tax in the company, and then you've got to get the money out of the company, and you can incur more income or capital gains tax when you take the money out of the company. So that can be a problem. The other main problem people have is that the banks can charge a lot more interest in a company than they do for a personal buy-to-let landlord, and that change in interest that you have to pay to the banks can actually offset the tax benefit of getting full relief on the interest. So it's like you get the benefit of it, but you pay it all to the bank, so what's the point in that? A number of people have also thought about transferring a portfolio of properties into a limited company, and that's particularly higher rate taxpayers seeing that the changes that are coming. Now, there have been a number of problems with that. First of all, you've got to make sure that you can transfer the mortgages, because when you're transferring the mortgages from sole ownership into a corporate ownership, you will have to change the mortgage because you're changing the legal owner of the property. And if you've got a really good historic deal, that will sort of get rid of the historic deal, so that can be a real problem. The other problem is that it's really helpful if all your mortgages are coterminous, because if you've got different end dates for your mortgages when they're renegotiated, then you can get into a problem where you have redemption charges with the banks. So that again can be really unhelpful. The other problem with transferring a buy-to-let portfolio into a company is whether you get incorporation relief. Now, if you get incorporation relief, it means that you don't have to worry about the capital gains tax and perhaps the stamp duty. So getting incorporation relief can be really important because the extra stamp duty, if you're planning to pay 3% stamp duty to get the portfolio into a corporate entity, and if you're having to pay all the capital gains tax up front, then that can really destroy the economics of it. Now, what the latest thinking on this is that to get corporation tax relief, you need to prove that it's a business. So therefore, what is a business? Well, what they're sort of looking at is that you're doing 20 hours a week of work on your buy-to-let portfolio in order for it to count as a business. Well, in truth, unless you've got a very big portfolio, doing 20 hours a week is unlikely to happen. So again, that's another quite a big stumbling block that people can come across. It is possible to incorporate. It is sometimes better to put it into a limited company, but there are some difficulties associated with it. And I think the other thing that we just need to bear in mind is the direction of travel of policy. So the direction of travel has been clearly to increase the taxation on buy-to-let landlords, and we don't know whether we've got to the end point on that. So there could be further changes in the law. And the particular problem with changes in the law is that when you buy a property, you're buying it for 10 or 20 years. Over 10 or 20 years, certainly the capital gains tax could change, but other taxes could change as well. So actually thinking through what you want to do is therefore doubly difficult. And I would always recommend that you'd think very carefully before incurring substantial charges in order to move the legal status of a property, because you might incur the charges, move the property, and then the tax law changes to make it ineffective in any case. So the reason why there are all these tax changes on buy-to-let landlords is precisely because it has been such a brilliant investment and people have made millions of pounds out of being buy-to-let landlords. If you would like to talk through what your personal needs are and what you're trying to achieve by becoming a landlord, then I'd love to speak to you and we can talk through a bit more personal level. Thank you for watching and listening. Please feel free to like, press the little bell button, subscribe or comment, so that'd be great. Thank you.